From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reported tonight, Bimbo Oloide.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Pakistani child rights activist Malala Yousafzai visits the president as federal government directs urgent meeting with parents of abducted Chibok girls. Officials of Malala Foundation ranked Nigeria as one of the countries with the worst figure of out-of-school children globally. Army hierarchy calls for patience, refuses to put time frame on war against terror. And a Ukrainian military aircraft brought down as fighting with pro-Russian separatist rebels intensify.
And on business news, federal government says it's still discussing the issue of oil subsidy removal.
And on sports news tonight, it's good news for Jamaican athlete Asafa Powell as Court of Arbitration for Sports declares him eligible to race.
The president has directed that arrangements be made towards his meeting with parents of the Chibok girls passing through a horrific experience following the abduction of their children by the Boko Haram group. This is the outcome of the meeting between President Goodluck Jonathan and the Pakistani child rights activist who was at the presidential villa earlier today. Malala is in Nigeria to lend her voice to the global condemnation of the Chibok girls' abduction as part of activities to mark her 17th birthday. She's hopeful that the girls will be released soon as promised by the president, pledging the sum of $200,000 towards education in Nigeria.
She has fully recovered from gunshots from terrorists and is today advocating that all girls, no matter the odds, should be made to go to school. She carried her campaigns to Nigeria precisely into the presidential villa on her birthday to meet with President Goodluck Jonathan behind closed doors. They sat for about an hour and in her usual fearless manner, she bears her mind to the press on the outcome of the meeting, wondering why anyone would deprive girls from going to school. She is, however, happy with the promise she got from the president.
And the president fortunately promised me that he will do something for these girls, and he promised me that the girls will be returned as soon as possible.
She had, on her arrival in Nigeria, met with some of the parents of the missing girls. She got another promise from the president on meeting with those parents.
At this time, they need support, they need people's support, they need their president's support. So I asked the president that is it possible for him to go and see the parents, to see these girls, to encourage them and to tell them that yes, their daughters will return home. And the president did promise me. He said that he will meet the parents of these girls, and I'm hopeful that these two promises, the return of those girls who are under the abduction of Boko Haram and meeting the parents of those girls, will be fulfilled, and we would see it really soon.
Funding of education is of concern to Malala. While she pledged to donate $200,000 from her fund, the federal government also told her what is being done so far.
The money spent on education should definitely be increased. This is how this country is going to develop. And I believe in the power of education. If Nigeria wants to have a bright future, then every child here should get the opportunity of going to school.
Education is one of President Jonathan's main priority areas. And I think the percentage is more than what has been quoted. And in terms of what has been provided, infrastructure, expansion of access to education, this administration has proven to be really committed to education both at the basic level and also at the tertiary level.
Malala said that even though the promises have been made, she's not going to stop until the girls are released and be made to continue with their education. Chukuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, officials of the Malala Foundation have ranked Nigeria as one of the countries with the worst figure of out-of-school children in the world. The officials disclosed this during the visit of the Pakistani girls' education activist Malala Yousafzai to the Minister of Education in Abuja. The team sought to know why the ministry has not successfully addressed the challenge of access and enrollment of the 10.5 million out-of-school children in the country. Our correspondent, Gloria Umezioke, reports.
Members of the Malala Foundation, officials from the United Nations, and the Department for State Services on a fact-finding mission to the Ministry of Education as part of activities to mark the Malala Day in Abuja.
I want to highlight the issues of the girls who are abducted. They are still under abduction, but the girls who escaped from the abduction, they are out of school now. There is no security for them. They are feeling insecure. They cannot go to school. So what should the Education Ministry do for them?
The Minister of State for Education was swift to reel out the various projects by the federal government to support the states to enroll the millions of out-of-school children across the country, but the team were apparently not as impressed.
We are training not less than 100,000 teachers every year just to complement the efforts of the state government. There's no impact that the federal government does not give to the state at least 5 billion naira for the training of their teachers. It is alarming, it is frightening, and so we are doing everything we can to reduce this number. That if other governments have done this, but before now, look at where we are.
The group advised the federal government to cooperate better with states to alleviate the crisis. So far, the minister says 139 billion naira has been given to states to provide support.
People ask about the crisis and why the children are not in school. So the federal government must intervene, I think, and they should take this crisis as a national crisis, and they should reach to the local governments, to the state governments, and let Nigeria have a very soft image, a very good image as a very good country where children go to school.
The Malala Foundation visit to Nigeria takes place almost 3 months to the day since the abduction of the Chibok girls on April 14. The renewed pledge by the government to up the enrollment figures is one Nigerians hope would reduce the education crisis in the country. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, she's also taken a bold swipe at Islamist group Boko Haram, condemning their use of terror to propagate Islam. In an interview with our Foreign Affairs correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, Malala says there is nothing Islamic about the group's methods as they go against the teachings of the faith. She also prescribes finding a customized approach to curbing terrorism in countries where it is evident.
I'm hopeful that they will listen to my message and they will think about what they are doing, because Islam is a religion of peace in the world. Islam means peace, and in Islam education is allowed for both girls and boys, and it is compulsory. And the first word that was revealed on Prophet was Iqra, which means read. So Islam gives a message of tolerance, patience, harmony, humanity, and Islam tells us to be kind to each other, to love each other, and they should realize what's the real message of Islam. But in fact, they are not even thinking about the true message of Islam, which is brotherhood, which says that we all are brothers and sisters.
Your message is that governments sit down and terrorist groups sit down and talk about what their grievances are with the government. Do you see that as the only way to solve terrorism?
The first thing is that the situation in every country is quite different. So in Pakistan, they are doing a military operation, and in Nigeria, the situation is quite different, and the government will better understand. But my message is that we can kill terrorists in war, but if we want a long-term solution for it, that is education. Educate the future generation. Tell them to learn about harmony. Tell them to learn about respecting each other's cultures, traditions, and respecting each other's color and language and religion. So we need to focus on education. This is the way we can fight terrorism, and we should make sure that the 10.5 million children who are without education in Nigeria, they go to school, and the millions of children all around the world who have no access to school start their education.
And members of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign say they have been vindicated by the global campaign for the rescue of the abducted schoolgirls. Describing the activism of Malala for the rescue of the girls as timely, members of the group insist that government must be held responsible for the return of the over 200 school children. They are, however, hopeful that the girls will soon be reunited with their families and friends. In part 2, after the break, National Conference adjourns till August the 4th, fails to reach agreement on derivation. Please stay with us.